Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrikacharya Stotra Shata Shri Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Vaicharana Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya BBT Founder Acharya saved the whole world. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Tai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Nashna Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 6, The Killing of the Demon Putana, Text 33. Kalevaram Parashubhihi Kalevaram Parashubhihi Chitva Tat Te Vrajaukasaha Chitva Tat Te Vrajaukasaha Dure Kshiptva Avayavasaha Dure Kshiptva Vaya Vasho Dure Kshiptva Vaya Vaso Nyadahan Kashtaveshtitam Nyadahan Kashtaveshtitam Kalevaram Parashubhihi Chitva Tatte Vrajaukasaha Dure Kshiptva Vaya Vasho Nyadahan Kashtaveshtitam Kalevaram Parashubhihi Chitva Tatte Vrajaukasaha Dure Kshiptva Vaya Vasho Nyadahan Kashtaveshtitam. Kalevaram, the gigantic body of Putana, Parashubhihi, with the aid of axes, Chitva, after cutting to pieces, Tat, that body, Te, all of those, Vraja O Kasaha, inhabitants of Vraja, Dure, far, far away, Kshiptva, after throwing, Avayavashaha, different parts of the body, piece by piece, Nyadahan, burned to ashes, Kashtaveshtitam, covered by wood. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Vaicharana Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The inhabitants of Vraja cut the gigantic body of Putana into pieces with the help of axes Then they threw the pieces far away, covered them with wood, and burned them to ashes. Can you please repeat the translation? The inhabitants of Vraja cut the gigantic body of Putana into pieces with the help of axes. Then they threw the pieces far away, covered them with wood, and burned them to ashes. Purport. It is the practice that after a snake has been killed, its body is cut into various pieces for fear that it may come to life again simply by interacting with air. Merely killing a person is not sufficient. After it is killed, it must be cut to pieces and burned, and then the danger will be over. Putana resembled a great serpent, and therefore the cowherd men took the same precautions by burning her body to ashes. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport and translation to Canto 10, Chapter 6, Text 33 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This verse describes what did the inhabitants of Vrindavan do with the body of Putana after she lay dead on the fields at the outskirts of Gokula. So here, Shukadeva Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj, Kalevaram parushubihi chitva tatte vrajaukasaha. Vraja-okasaha, referring to the inhabitants of Vrajabhumi, Vrindavan. Tatte, referring to the, Tat means referring to Putana here. Tatte, referring to the body of Putana. What did they do? Kalevaram parushubihi chitva. Chitva means to cut to pieces. Parushubihi, with the help of axes. So they took axes in their hand and chitva, they cut to pieces Kalevaram, the gigantic body of Putana. After that, what did they do? Not just cutting the body into pieces. Further, Dure kshiptva avayava shaha. They threw, Dure, kshiptva means to throw. Dure means far away. Dure kshiptva, they threw these cut pieces of Putana's body far away. Avayavashaha refers to the different parts of Putana's body. Then, after throwing them far away, step 3. Step 1 is they cut Putana's body into pieces. Step 2, they threw these pieces far away. Step 3, Nyadahan kashta veshtitam. They covered Putana's body kashta veshtitam with wood. Kashta veshtitam. Covered the body of these cut pieces of Putana's body with wood, and Nyadahan, they burned them to ashes. So it's a 3-step procedure they have adopted in dealing with the dead body of Putana. Why? It is explained in the purport by the Acharyas that Putana is compared to a snake. Therefore, this 3-step procedure was adopted. Just like when a snake is killed, Prabhupada explains, we have to gently, what people do is they cut the body of snake into pieces so that there is no danger of the snake coming back to life by the interaction of air. But merely killing the snake is not enough. It must be cut into pieces and further burned also. That's generally the procedure adopted, so that the danger will be over. So Prabhupada says here, similarly, Putana is compared to a snake. Or rather, she has developed that kind of nature or nature of envy. Otherwise, who will ever think of killing babies? Babies are natural object of love. You can see. Even in the lion society, tiger society, even though they are very ferocious, still when they have a cub or their small children, they will play with them. So children are natural object of love. Babies are natural object of love. We can see even criminals, very violent people also, but when they see children, they become very soft. It is natural. But here we can see Putana, she was so merciless that she killed even all the children of Vrindavan. This is possible only when you are extremely envious. So therefore here it is described, Putana resembles a great serpent. Therefore the cowherd men took the same precautions by burning her body to ashes as it is done in the case of killing a snake or dealing with a snake. So, now this may look little ghastly. That is why this is an extreme step being taken. It is not a general action. When you see a snake, how do you deal? Or when you see an envious person or a snake-like person, how do you deal? Snake meaning people who are very envious. So how do we deal? What does the Shastras say? So the general behavior of dealing is like this. It is explained in the Shastras, actually in the Bhagavatam it is explained, what should be the general approach even towards snakes or snake-like men. The general approach is point 1. Narada Muni explains in Bhagavatam in his teachings to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He says, this is the 7th canto of Bhagavatam, it is there. So he says that even a snake has to be fed in one's house. This is Grahastha Dharma. It's point 1. Grahastha Dharma is that, or any householder, even if there's a snake, he has to feed and take care of the snake. Point 2. Bhagavatam teaches us real communism, ideal communism. People are very much interested in communism, right? Everybody is equal treatment. Yes. Bhagavatam proposes real communism. How? It says that you should take care of all the living beings. Just like if you're a householder, then you should not only take care only of your wife, your children, your family members. You should also take care of animals. Lizard, rats. It goes on to say even snakes, as we discussed already. So that means you should feed them also. As you feed your family members, you should feed them also. So this is real communism. But the idea is, Prabhupada explains, when somebody becomes a Pandita, Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Pandita Samadarshinaha, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavi Hastini. Shuni chaiva shpakecha pandita samadarshinaha. When one actually becomes learned, he does not make distinction. Oh, here is a human being, here is an animal. Here is a friend, here is an enemy. No, he doesn't make distinction. He sees that every living being essentially is part and parcel of Krishna. So, therefore, the general dealing should be very, very kind and friendly. You may treat them differently because of their consciousness. You may distinguish, you may differentiate. But on the basic principle, one should know whether it's an animal or man, does not matter. He is part and parcel of Krishna and we should take care. This is the general approach. Okay. We can see this in the life of Prabhupada also, how he practiced this principle. Very interesting. Prabhupada was in Allahabad. As we know, he was doing his pharmacy business in Allahabad. And one day when he was taking rest, he had a cot, he had a bed, and he was taking rest. And one sadhu, he pointed out, Prabhupada. That time Prabhupada's name was Abhay Charan Das. So then indicated, there's a snake below your bed. Prabhupada didn't realize only. And he slept nicely. Someone indicated, there's a snake below your bed. And Prabhupada just got up. And then immediately all the people gathered. So then Prabhupada said, actually Prabhupada looked at the face of the snake. He saw that the snake appeared to be very frightened. Because so many people gathered. So the snake could sense that these people are going to kill me. Snake understood. And therefore there was a lot of fear in the snake's face. And Prabhupada saw that, oh, so sad. Snake is feeling frightened. Prabhupada said, please take away, put the snake in the forest. Prabhupada didn't say to kill the snake. But of course, Prabhupada later on got to know, it seems, that those people killed the snake. But Prabhupada didn't want to kill the snake. He just said, take it away. Put it off in the fields. You can just imagine. So this is the general approach of a sadhu. But one time, seeing at the behavior or the decision of his guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada was very surprised and shocked. Because he could not digest the fact, one time a similar such case happened in Mayapur when this instance took place in Yogapeeth, in Chaitanya Matha, in Mayapur, where some of the disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur spotted a snake, a serpent, in front of the mutt. And then they informed the Acharya, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was in the first floor actually. He was staying in the first floor. Those who have gone to Mayapur, they might have seen. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's room is in the first floor. So immediately they approached him and said, what should we do? He said, immediately kill it, kill it. So Prabhupada was surprised. He was shocked. Because we see Prabhupada, how he dealt with a snake. He felt sorry for the snake. And here we are seeing Bhakti Maharaj, and he had a lot of respect for Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Lot of respect. And he knew, if at all there is a genuine sadhu, at that point of time, especially in Mayapur and that region, it was Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in whose hands the teachings of Lord Chaitanya is ably resting. So Prabhupada was convinced that Lord Chaitanya's teachings can be spread far and wide by this personality. He will fulfill Lord Chaitanya's desire. Prabhupada was convinced. So that much respect Prabhupada had. Otherwise, generally if you see, if you read Prabhupada's life history, it's a very interesting life history. In his childhood, Prabhupada's father, Srila Gaur Mohan De, who was also another pure devotee, Prabhupada writes, he said that when Prabhupada was a small boy, they were living in Calcutta, and every sadhu who would come, Prabhupada's father would invite that sadhu to their home and tell that sadhu to bless his son. That in Prabhupada's name that time was Abhay Charan. So he used to request the sadhus to bless his son. Then Prabhupada writes that actually most of the sadhus were not up to the standard. I didn't have any faith on all these sadhus, all bogus fellows. Prabhupada himself used to write. But somehow my father, he wanted to take every opportunity to receive blessings for his son, that he'll become a great devotee of Radha Krishna, like that. So that was Prabhupada's attitude towards sadhus. He didn't have much faith on sadhus because many of them were not up to the mark. That was the reason, not otherwise. Because they don't represent what they are. So therefore Prabhupada didn't have much faith on them. But his father had a good sentiment. Therefore he was following the normal etiquette of receiving them nicely. So although Prabhupada had this kind of outlook towards the sadhus, but when he met Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his entire perspective changed. He realized in this sadhu, the power to change the world is there. He can carry the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and bring about change in people's life by preaching Lord Chaitanya's message. Prabhupada was convinced and Prabhupada became his disciple. So he was surprised, such a great sadhu, he has straight away said, without a second thought, kill the snake. Then later on, Prabhupada approached Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and asked him a clarification with caution, with great respect. He said, my dear Gurudev, generally sadhus are very, very merciful. How is it that your act is so harsh that you immediately instructed your disciples to kill the snake? Then that time, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur quoted one verse from Bhagavatam, which was quoted by Prahalad Maharaj in his prayers to Narasimha Deva. Very nice prayer. It says in the 7th canto, 9th chapter, text 14, Tad yaccha manyum asurascha hatastvayadhya modeta sadur api vrishchika sarpahatya lokascha nirvritim ita pratiyanti sarve rupam nisimha vibhayaya jana smaranti. This is the prayer. So it says, O my dear Narasimha, Rupam Narasimha Vibhayaya Jana Smaranti. If you remember your form, Narasimha Rupam Jana Smaranti. If you remember or meditate on Lord Narasimha's form, then what will happen? You will become completely free from all kinds of fear. There will be no more fear by remembering Narasimha's form. Now that Prahlad is saying to Narasimhadev, this demon is being killed. Actually, Prahlad Maharaj is referring about the demon, referring to his father, Hiranyakashipu. He's saying, he compared his father, Prahlad compared his father, Hiranyakashipu, to a serpent. Now that he is killed, Asurascha hatas tvaya adhya. Tvaya by you, adhya, just right now, Manyum asuraha, you have killed him. Please give up your anger. Lokashcha nirvritim ita pratiyanti sarve. The whole world is happy and taking pleasure by the killing of this serpent-like demon Hiranyakashipu. Whole world is happy, okay, fine. But Prahlad says, Modeta sadurapi vrishchika sarpahatya. Modeta means to take pleasure. Moda, muda. Muda means pleasure. Moda also means pleasure. Modeta means to take pleasure. Modeta sadhu. This is the important point. Sadhu. Even a sadhu takes pleasure in what? In the killing of whom? Hatya, of whom? Vrishchika and Sarpa. Two kinds of living entities, death or killing, a sadhu takes pleasure. It's Vrishchika and Sarpa, scorpions and snakes. And Prahlad compared his father to be like a scorpion or a snake, and therefore his killing has caused great pleasure to everyone, including sadhus. Now Prabhupada explained the purport. Why? Why does a sadhu take pleasure in killing when the general approach of the sadhu is to be merciful, to be kind, to be tolerant? So how do we accept such behavior from a sadhu? Yes, so the reason is given here. Hiranyakashipu was worse than a snake or a scorpion, according to Prahlad. Snake and a scorpion is to be killed. They're envious by nature. But according to Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu was less than a scorpion or a snake. He was killed because he was worse than a snake or a scorpion. Therefore, everyone was happy. Saintly persons never desire the killing of any jiva. But they take pleasure in killing of envious living entities like snakes and scorpions. Why are they taking pleasure? Because they take pleasure because these are envious creatures. Unnecessarily put others in trouble. Therefore they are happy. So what is the reason for killing? So 3 points. One is, these snakes or scorpions, they bite offenseless or innocent living beings and cause death. This is reason one. Because they bite unnecessarily. See, we use the word sting operations. So the snake stings unnecessarily and emits poison. Number 2, the snakes and scorpions, by their very bodily nature, they're angry and envious. So second reason is they're angry and envious creatures. And these envious and angry creatures, they take pleasure in causing pain to others, up to the point of death, inflicting death upon others. This is the second reason. So, of course, third reason, it has become their nature, which I described already. But if you want to separately analyze, all the time they are angry and they're envious. All the time. Anytime. All the people, any people. There could be reason of anger or envy, somebody. But snake and scorpion, they are not like that. Everybody, even innocent person or a living entity is passing by, they will attack. So 3 reasons why the killing is justified. Therefore, saintly persons also take satisfaction on account of these snakes and scorpions' death. Similarly, snake-like, scorpion-like persons' death. In other words, who become extremely demoniac, like Hiranyakashipu. So, how do we deal with this Putana or demons in our life? Demonic persons in our life, envious persons we come across, how do we deal? So we will study 3-step process we will take. The 3 steps to ward away these snakes. So we also, I have listed about 3-step process. Step 1 is how do we deal with toxic persons, envious persons, demoniac persons. Extremely envious, like a snake or scorpion. Not normal envy or normal anger. That anyway, everybody for some reason will become angry. That is okay. But 24/7 they're brewing anger, like the snake and scorpion. All the time body is filled with poison. How do we deal? Step 1, tolerate, be kind. This is step 1 for any sadhu, any saintly person. You have to be tolerant and you have to be kind. There's one nice instance in the life of a disciple of Lord Buddha. Very interesting. Lord Buddha had one disciple by name Ananda. So, he was one of Buddha's disciples. Once Lord Buddha, to test him, put him through a test. So Buddha asked him, he said, if you're walking on the road, preaching dharma, principles of religion, and suppose if the townsfolk there, they insult you, how will you respond? How will you react? So Ananda replied, oh, I would bless them for not injuring me. You have only, after you have insulted me only, right? You didn't injure me. So I will bless them. Thank you. So you not injured me. Then Lord Buddha said, okay, what if the inhabitants injure you physically? They throw stones at you and injure you. Ananda replied, oh, I will still bless them because they have not killed me, right? Like that. So then Lord Buddha said, oh, okay, what if they kill you? Lord Buddha said, Ananda said, yes, still I would bless them for delivering me from all the sufferings and complications of this material world. So Buddha said, your back to God is guaranteed. See how a sadhu or a saintly person approaches, how he tolerates, how he exhibits its kindness without taking any offense, any insult, any pain, any attack. On a personal count, he does not react. So this is step one. Be tolerant, be kind. There was one more nice story in this regard. A similar such instance. Very interesting, very practical. There was one gambler, persons who do gambling. So, one holy man, in order to do some good to the poor, he wanted to solicit some donation. So in the city he got to know there was one gambler, he was very rich. He was a very rich man. So he approached the gambler, requesting him for some support. This man became so angry and violent, he spat on him. So this holy man, very, very kindly, he took a kerchief, he just wiped off. And then he requested with folded hands, sir, this is for me, what about the poor people? That spit, he said, that is for me, fine, no problem. But what about for the poor people? This man was bewildered. He was shocked. Immediately he bowed down to this holy man and realized his mistake, and he said, extremely sorry. And then he became his disciple also later on. So like that, generally we should have this approach. Be kind, tolerate. Okay. Then there is another instance in Bhagavatam itself, very classic instance, about Parikshit Maharaj. Prabhupada makes a very interesting reference in this regard. Parikshit Maharaj was insulted by Shamika Rishi, small, young, inexperienced Brahmana boy. So much that he took a dead snake and garlanded the king. I'm sorry. When Parikshit Maharaj garlanded the father of Shamika Rishi, hearing that news, Shamika Rishi, the son of this one Muni, he became offended and immediately cursed Parikshit Maharaj to die within 7 days from the same race of the snake. But Parikshit Maharaj was not at all offended, didn't take the insult, didn't become upset. Prabhupada says, The best policy in this age of Kali is to forgive others as one would have himself forgiven by Lord Krishna. Maharaja Parikshit insulted Shamika Rishi. Sorry, Samika Rishi was the father, Shringi was the son. So Maharaja Parikshit insulted Shamika Rishi by placing a dead snake on his shoulder. But the sage considered this unimportant and readily forgave him. However, his son Shringi, who was puffed up with Brahminical powers, did not forgive Parikshit Maharaj, but cursed him, and for this Shringi was condemned. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj didn't take this offense very seriously. The curse of this boy, he didn't take very seriously. He forgave him. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that a wise man is always forgiving. And Krishna advises that we tolerate. Therefore, Krishna said, be equipoised towards pleasure and pain, fame and infamy, honor and dishonor. Then you can remain in a transcendental state, free from the influence of the three modes. Many places Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you practice this principle, he says. Okay, that is step 1. So we tolerate, we have to be kind. Now step 2, we may tolerate, but we can also take some action. How? At least to keep away the danger, or not to allow unnecessarily people to exploit us. We can at least defend ourselves. In this regard, in the Bhagavatam, a very nice story is being described. This is the story of Narada Muni making one snake a bhakta. Narada Muni preached to one snake and made one snake devotee. Narada Muni is so powerful, so great. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Narada Muni made one snake, one bhakta. So he became a snake bhakta. So Narada Muni, after making him a devotee, he instructed him specifically, because he is a snake, right? Always brewing envy and collecting poison in his body. So Narada Muni instructed him, you should not attack any living being. You should not attack anyone. You should not bite anyone whatsoever. Like that he said. So then this Bhakta said, yes, Narada Muni, I will follow you. Like that. So then, very soon what happened? This snake was very quiet and became very sadhu-like. So there were some small children playing around, and the snake would not attack. So they would take stones and throw at the snake, and the snake would become hurt. But he remembers Narada Muni, oh, my Guru ordered me, no, keep quiet. You should not attack. So the snake would quietly take all the hurt and then it would keep quiet. So after some time, Narada Muni came, and the snake went with a complaint register. He said, my Lord, my dear Guru. He said, how are things going on? Narada Muni asked the snake, how are things going on, my dear Bhakta? So he said, everything is fine, but unnecessarily these children, because I don't attack anyone, these children are throwing stones at me and causing a lot of pain and injury. You see all my body, lot of wounds are there. So then Narada Muni felt very sorry for it. Oh. Then Narada Muni said, I told you not to attack, not to bite, but I did not tell you not to raise your hoods. At least you can raise your hoods and cause some fear. At least cause fear in them. Just by raising your hoods, it will cause so much fear, they will go away. You don't have to actually attack. At least defend yourself. At least for the time being. So Prabhupada says, when there's a mischief made by others, you should not forget to become angry, at least for the time being, in order to drive away the miscreants. So Narada Muni said, at least for the time being, you just raise your heads. Don't actually bite. By raising your heads, they'll become afraid and they'll go away. Similarly, this is step 2. When we are confronted by mischief mongers around us, what shall we do? Practical step what we can take. So, we should not forget to become angry, at least for the time being, in order to drive away the miscreants. But step 3 is there, the last point. Step 3 is, if it is very serious, then you should also become aggressive. You may even have to kill or take necessary steps needed to ward away the violence or unnecessary attack. You cannot be a coward. That is step 3. Just like, again, in the life of Prabhupada, this was in Mayapur in the 1970s. Some dacoits attacked the temple in Mayapur. So that time, they prepared some, these dacoits, they had some small bombs made from iron strips. Some iron strips was taken and it was wrapped by some cloth, by some jute cloth. They twined that iron scraps and made it like a baseball. Of course, it cannot cause big danger, but it can create small blasts. Your hands, legs can be blasted like that. So then, so one night, Prabhupada, when he was in Mayapur temple, these dacoits made these homemade bombs and then they attacked. Of course, nobody was hurt. Next day, Prabhupada called for a report. How this happened, why it happened. Then the devotee gave a report. Who came, this, that, and all these things. Then immediately Prabhupada instructed some devotees to take license for gun. And then he said, once a while, you should fire the gun in the air so that it will cause fear. Oh, these Swamijis are also well equipped. So once a while, just simply fire the gun in the air so that it will create some kind of fear. And unnecessarily, they will not exploit or attack. This step has to be taken. Then immediately 2 guns were taken with license from the government, and then they divided themselves. And there was one sannyasi, Shatadanya Swami. So he and there was one more devotee, they were supposed to patrol the temple, especially night time. Because especially 1970s, a lot of dacoity was happening, a lot of attacks. So then they wanted to safeguard the situation, so they would patrol the temple in the night time and everybody is taking rest. So then this Swami, Shatadin Swami Prabhupada had one torchlight, just in case somebody is moving, just to identify. So he came late night, he had been for preaching, book distribution, he came very late. Maybe after 11, 12 midnight. And at dead of night, he was eating chapati and jaggery. But while he was eating chapati, he recognized, oh, somebody is walking. Immediately took his torchlight and then he was flashing here and there, the light. He recognized, oh, below a staircase, some semblance of somebody being there. So he went near. Actually, there was a person. He thought, oh, Prabhupada warned me, there will be a dacoit, be careful. He thought, I caught a dacoit finally. But actually, he was shocked to see it was Prabhupada. And Prabhupada had another torchlight. And he was also trying to switch on. And then Prabhupada also was patrolling. Then this devotee said, Prabhupada, you are here. He said, yes, I am checking whether you are active and alert. After that, Prabhupada went to rest. So, immediately he paid obeisances and Prabhupada left. So the point here is this step 3. So you need not have to be covered just because of following a principle of being a sadhu. So there is step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 1 is, okay, you are kind, you are tolerant. But step 2 is, that does not mean that you don't take any steps to protect yourself or defend yourself. Step 3 is, if the situation demands, you must plunge into action. So this is how we deal with the situation. So therefore here we see the inhabitants of Vrindavan, great devotees. How can they burn the body of Putana? Because she was serpent-like. Prahlad Maharaj, how can he authorize killing of his father? How can the Lord kill? Being Deena Dayal, Karuna Sindhu. So, because they are more envious and violent than serpents and scorpions. Therefore, they have to be dealt. Otherwise, they will cause a lot of difficulty to others. Stop here. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.